Since the defeat of the coalition at the 2025 Australian federal election, the group has continued to slump in the polls as the Liberal Party faces internal battles concerning different policy stances and challenges facing its voter demographics. Prominent shadow cabinet members have resigned. Just last month, the coalition fell to a record low of 26% in the opinion polls, while support for right-wing Conservative party One Nation has almost doubled since the election. This collapse is eerily similar to that of the UK's Conservative Party, which, after the July 2024 elections, saw its support fall further, with the Reform UK Party taking over in the polls. So, today, we'll look at what went wrong with the Liberal Party, why it's continued to decline in the polls, and if the Liberal Party as we know it is over. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you can stay up to date with the important news in our ever-changing world. The coalition came out of the federal election with its lowest share of seats in Parliament since the party's inception in the 1940s, securing only 28.6% of seats in the House of Representatives. Leader of the opposition Peter Dutton lost his seat representing Dixon to Labor MP Ailey France, and the coalition receded further from inner-city seats across the board, making way for independents and Labor members. The aftermath of the election saw the party in a state of disarray, and things got worse due to a string of events which have plagued its support in the polls. For starters, in May, the National Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price defected to the Liberal Party in a bid to secure a leadership position, eventually withdrawing. The leadership election saw moderate Susan Ley win with 28 votes to Conservative Angus Taylor's 26. In June, the coalition temporarily broke up over policy differences, initiated by the National Party, who aimed at securing policies which were agreed upon prior to the election. The two parties then joined back together less than a week later, but disagreements regarding the coalition's stance on net zero became a focus over following weeks. In September, Jacinta Price was sacked from the shadow cabinet after comments she made regarding Indian Australians, and just last week, Andrew Hastie resigned from the shadow cabinet over disagreements regarding the coalition's immigration policy. It's fair to say there's been a lot of instability with the Liberal Party, and this is clearly shown in the polls. As of the 30th of September, Essentials polls had the coalition on 27%, 5 points down from its federal election performance in May. As of the making of this video, we've put together 5 reasons for the collapse of the Liberal Party. The first is a lack of policy direction and clarity, which has plagued the party since the pre-campaigns early this year. Following the Liberal Party's defeat, discussions over scrapping net zero have sparked up again. Conservative members of the Liberal Party have called for it to be scrapped, while moderates insist on keeping it in line with the national consensus. The debate over immigration has also deeply divided the coalition, and 2 members left the shadow cabinet over this issue. The second point is what has been perceived to be weak leadership from its current leader, Susan Ley. Considering the coalition breakup and multiple cabinet reshuffles, the party environment has become a lot more fragmented than it was under previous leader Peter Dutton. In the past few weeks, Conservative commentators and journalists alike were describing Andrew Hastie as a forerunner for the Liberal Party leadership. Some even claiming that the Albanese government has been giving him more attention and challenging him as the real opposition leader in Parliament. While Hastie himself said in a media conference that he's ruled out a leadership challenge in the near future, both political persuasions have seemingly framed him as a future leader, and Hastie himself has left the door open for a potential leadership challenge in 2026. The third point is that the Liberal Party just isn't representative of everyday Australians anymore. Susan Ley herself admitted in her first speech as leader that her party needs to reflect modern Australia and be more representative of everyday people, something which both the Labor Party and progressive media establishment have reinforced. Historically, the Liberal Party has never really had a core representative base, unlike the Labor Party. The Liberals make up a group of affluent or upper middle class voters, business owners, rural folk, and older people. However, in the 1990s, the Liberal Party broadened its appeal to what was coined the Aussie Battler by John Howard, taking on more blue-collar and working-class voters. However, the implementation of policies such as negative gearing and high-income tax cuts, as well as failing to capture younger voters, has increasingly shifted public perception of the party as a party for the rich that is out of touch with middle-aged Australians and Australians facing economic hardship. The fourth reason is that Australians as a whole have become a lot more progressive in recent years. The rise in wealth inequality and the cost of living crisis has disproportionately affected younger and middle-aged Australians, which some blame due to too much liberalisation of the economy through policies such as negative gearing, privatisation of government enterprises, and the concentration of market power by big corporations. The party's slow adoption of climate policies, a lack of focus on young people, and a vocal Conservative faction have also alienated moderate voters and would-be swing voters from the party, seeing those votes disappear to Teal independents and Labor members. Lastly, the party's relationship with government sector workers has also become strained, with the party last election pledging to abolish work from home for government employees, before quickly axing the policy. The final reason is the Liberal Party's issues with rising factionalism. As it stands, there are two main factions in the Liberal Party: the moderates, or small L Liberals, and the Conservatives. The moderates have claimed that the party is focusing too much on social issues rather than substantial policies, while the Conservatives have claimed that the moderates aren't focusing enough on things like immigration, national security, and dealing with woke culture. As a result of all this, the Liberal Party has fallen in the polls, which is seeing the Liberal vote fracture and cause some voters to instead support other parties. One Nation, a right-wing political party, has doubled its numbers in the polls, which could be due to Conservative voters who are dissatisfied with the Liberal Party not being conservative enough. Meanwhile, moderates might be giving up on the party due to its division over net zero and their national rights influence. With all this in mind, things are not looking great for the Liberal Party. With One Nation gaining traction, the Liberal Party's loss of support could pave the way for a more right-wing populist shift in Australian politics. If One Nation's surge continues, it could splinter Conservative votes, leading to a fragmentation of the right-wing bloc that would further reduce the Liberal Party's ability to reclaim a majority or influence policy in the near future. The current surge we're seeing is reminiscent of that of Reform UK, where an alternative right party has upended the main opposition party. If the moderate faction grows tired of constant compromise, there's a chance they will either split off or form a new centre-right coalition. This would be a historic change to the Australian political landscape, especially if it results in a new political entity that could reshape the landscape around issues like climate change, social policy, and fiscal management. Alternatively, the Conservatives could double down and further push the party into a more populist, culturally conservative direction. This would leave the moderates with fewer reasons to stay and a marginalised position in the remaining inner-city electorates. As for Susan Ley, her leadership will likely continue to be scrutinised. If the fragmentation persists, her position as leader might become increasingly untenable. Her leadership has highlighted the internal rifts within the party, and if she is unable to unite the factions, we could see a leadership challenge emerge, particularly as figures like Andrew Hastie gain more prominence. The coalition between the Liberal Party and the Nationals is another major factor in this crisis. The temporary breakup and continued tensions between the two parties are likely to lead to a reworking of their relationship in coming years. The Nationals' demands for more hardline stances on issues like net zero and immigration could make it harder for the Liberals to pursue a cohesive policy platform. It's possible that, in the long term, the Liberal Party, that has existed for over 70 years, could undergo a significant transformation or even collapse entirely. If the party fails to resolve its factionalism, its inability to address modern issues like climate change or housing affordability, and continues to alienate younger voters, it could eventually cease to be the dominant centre-right force it once was in Australia.
With the ever-changing media landscape, we know it can be difficult to keep on track of things. Fortunately, you can keep on top of the news with our monthly magazine, Snapshots, which breaks down some of the biggest news stories in the month into easily digestible feature stories, data trend analysis, and investigative pieces. It also includes the blind spot section, which aims to highlight stories that have been forgotten or misrepresented by the mainstream media. If you're looking for change in your media diet, be sure to give Snapshots a try. You can check it out in our link down below to find out more.